Hi guys, welcome to another video in the CAT preparation series, and in today's video I will speak about how do you really give the final CAT exam. What is your mindset like, what is your attempt strategy like, not only in the final day but also in all the mocks that you are giving to simulate the final exam. I hope that all of you are regularly giving mock tests and you are giving them in an environment which is similar to what you will finally face in the final CAT exam day. So probably just take the mock test on a table and a chair, have some rough sheets with you. Ensure that you do not stand up for the entirety of 3 hours because that is something that you will try to do on the final exam. If you want to get up for water or for just because you cannot sit down for so long, that ways you will be kind of wasting time on the final day as well. So try as much as possible to simulate the final CAT exam during the mock tests that you take. I used to, in the final month, I actually used to wake up early in the morning and kind of give mock tests from 9 to 12 because that was the slot that I got. So I also simulated the timeline as well, and I think that try to simulate the final exam as much as possible because that is something that will help you in the final CAT exam as well. And talking about the entire mindset, so now that you don't have many days left, try to simulate the same mindset in your mock tests as well. So keep calm, have some confidence in the preparation that you have done till now. Try to remain focused, avoid all the external distractions that are there, probably your phone or something it's otherwise going on in your house or anything else. Avoid all these external distractions. Try to ensure that you are as focused as possible. There's nothing else going on in your mind as well. And ensure that you practice this enough in multiple mocks. So something that I did was that I practiced and tried a lot of different strategies in mock tests. For example, in quant there are multiple strategies that I will talk about. So I used to try them out in 3 or 4 mocks and then see which one is a better strategy for me. Because even though there are tons of strategies out there on how to attempt the final exam, you need to ensure that what strategy really works for you, right? And that is really important. That's why you need to attempt a lot of mock tests or a lot of sectional tests at that. Now I will continue with telling you the different attempt strategies that I have had for all the different sections. I will also try to tell you about the other potential strategies that people apply. But before that, of course, I want to tell you one more resource for you to just practice mock tests. Because you know there are so many resources out there, but you need to identify like good enough resources which can help you simulate the CAT exam finally. So Unacademy has started a new series known as Champion Tests, and these are free for anyone who registers and takes them. And I think they are also giving in to the top 5 students, they are also giving one-on-one mentoring with their special teachers and all of them. The link for applying it is there in description below. In case it asks you for any code etc, you can just put in my code. I have put that also over there. I think it is CG04, so you can just check that. And what it does is that it will not only give you a few sectional tests to give, that is 1 hour tests for different sections, it will also give you the full 3 hour tests, and from that you can directly simulate it like I was telling for the final CAT exam. So definitely do try that and let me know your feedback on that as well. Now I will move on to the different strategies that I had. For VARC specifically, as I have mentioned quite a few times, I kept around 20 minutes for the VA section and I kept 40 minutes for RC section. Now the order I did it was first I did the RCs and then I did VAs. Why was this the particular order? Was because I was in general better at RCs than compared to VAs, and that is common for mostly all of the people. And I was able to complete almost all RCs in around 40 or 42 minutes. So that was kind of my time limit for RCs. If I was taking anything more than 42, 43 minutes, then I would just move on to VAs first. Again, VAs require a little bit more time because they are type of questions. So you have to invest at least 1.5 to 2 minutes in each VA. But because the accuracy is in general low in VAs, I try to first do the RCs so that I am at least sure of, that I've attempted so many questions where I am kind of sure of the accuracy. So that was the way that I did it. People do VAs before RC so that, because VAs require quite a lot of attempts and a lot of logic so that they can use their brain before on that. But personally, because my accuracy was good in RCs and my speed was also good in RCs, I would do RCs before VAs. Again, in RCs also, I think investing around 7 minutes for the 4 or 5 questions RCs that come should be good enough. And again, if there is a particular question you are not very sure of, it's best to first eliminate the options that you feel are not at all relevant, and then later on move to something like just writing down that these are the two options. So I would write down on my rough sheet that for question number 3, my options are A or C. Now, if I have like 5 or 6 such questions where I have a little bit of dilemma, then I would in the end just take a call which question to attempt and which not to attempt. I would in general be attempting around 50% of the questions from which I had a dilemma. It boils down to kind of gut feeling, but I think that in case you are actually in the end you have just derived into 2 options, then you can try to take a chance because the chances are high. So that was my overall VARC strategy. I think that I was able to complete the paper even on the final CAT exam. So if you are able to do that in the mock test that you are giving in general, then I think you will be able to do that in the final exam as well. Again, as I said before, stay calm. That is the most important thing. If you start to feel panicky or something, that will only reduce your speed and reduce your accuracy as well. And that is not something we want. So give as many mock tests as possible to ensure that that panic state does not really come in the final exam. Now moving on to LRDI. In LRDI, my strategy used to be that I used to scan all the sets in the first 5 minutes. Now, what does scanning really mean? It does not mean that I used to read the entire passage and also all the questions, etc. I used to only look through the first 3-4 lines of a passage and used to look at any graphics that are given, if there's a table, if there are graphs, etc., things like that, and used to just mentally keep in my mind that okay, there are 9-10 conditions here, there are 5 conditions in some other passage and things like this. And then accordingly I will just arrange all these passages or sets in an order in which I would like to attempt them. Now, this does not mean that the sets which come on the 7th or 8th place, I will not attempt them at all. It just means that this is the initial order which I have decided on, and this is the way I will start. So, I will take the first set after the initial 5 minutes. I will spend 5 minutes in that set and see if I am getting close enough to solving that particular set. Sometimes what happens in the initial 5 minutes, you are kind of able to make out the entire structure and kind of able to deduce a lot of things from the set. Then it is good enough. Spend another 5-6 minutes and solve all the 4 questions. But if in the initial 5 minutes you feel that I know nothing and I am not able to even decipher how I am going to solve this particular set, it's best to leave that set as is and move on to the next set in your order. What the order does is that ensures that you have at least had a chance to look at all the different sets that are there, and also it gives you a structure into like how you are going to attempt these sets. Because if you do not have any order, what you will do, you will try the first set, then you will feel maybe I know it, maybe I don't know it, then you move on to the next set, then you again do the same thing, then you feel that maybe there's an easier set down there. So what structuring and scanning does in LRDI is that it kind of ensures that you have looked at all the sets, like just glanced at them, and then you have an order so that you do not have to apply your brain again and again to see which is the next set that I am going to attempt. Because when you have that kind of dilemma, you tend to jump from set to set, and that wastes a lot of time. So this is one technique that I found useful. I also tried this in a lot of mock tests, and I think after 5 or 6 only I was able to get comfortable with this technique, because otherwise I used to feel that I'm wasting 5 minutes of my entire attempt, and this might not be the best way to do things and all of that. But give like at least 3, 4, 5 mock tests with the same strategy, so that you can feel that this is a good enough strategy that works for me. Now, moving on to quantitative ability, there are a few strategies in this. Some people try to do, they just read the question. If they feel this can be done in 10-20 seconds, they'll do it and move on to the next question. And this way, they just go through the entire 34 questions 3 or 4 times. So they do the easiest in first round, then probably a little bit difficult, then a little bit more difficult. This I tried doing, but I personally could not do it because I felt that I will be able to solve the question eventually. And by putting my brain, into the condition that I have to identify whether this is the easiest question out there or not, that was kind of wasting a lot of my time. Even though it works for a lot of people I have known, you can try this particular strategy. It did not personally work for me. Another strategy that people tend to take in place is they will start solving each question. For whatever question, if you have invested 1 minute or 1.5 minutes, and if you are unable to solve that particular question, then they will move on to the next question. So that is also a strategy that generally works, because you are time bounding your attempts and you are definitely moving on to the next question. But even with this strategy, I think sometimes what happens is when you are very close to the answer, you tend to invest more and more time in the question. So this happened with me that in a few mocks, I think that I left the last 3 or 4 or 5 questions, and sometimes they are superbly easy. Okay, so it feels very bad to leave those questions in the end. That is why the strategy that I finally used was that in the entire 1 hour, I used to invest first 30 minutes for the first 17 questions. That means I'm kind of breaking the quantitative ability section in half and investing 30 minutes in the first 17 questions. So for the first 30 minutes, I will do the first 17 questions only, and I will ensure that I have gone through all the different questions. In the next 30 minutes, I would go on and do the next 17 questions. So this kind of ensured that I'm not leaving a lot of questions in the end, and I'm also having some kind of, a kind of a timer or a reminder in my own mind that half the time is over, so half of your questions should be over by now. So things like this really worked for me in general, because that just helps me, keeping in my mind what is the time and what is happening. So these are the different strategies that you yourself can try. You can give like 3 or 4 mocks with each strategy and then identify the best one for you. I think that you will definitely identify a strategy and then just stick with it for quite a few mocks, and you yourself will kind of see a level of improvement in your overall practice. Overall, your mindset should be totally calm, as I said. Ensure that you are copying the right things, you're not making silly mistakes and all of that. Practice in very similar conditions to the final mock. I also used to take exactly like the rough sheets that they give in CAT exam. At that time it used to be A4. Then we got a notepad in the CAT exam, but I think that was okay because I had generally practiced with like fresh sheets every time. So that things like this really help, because I had a habit of keeping some particular section for quantitative ability, some section for Lrdi, and even for individual questions, so that if I have to come back to any question, it is very easy for me and I do not waste time in doing the same calculation again from starting. So these are the different things that guys were going on in my mind while attempting the final exam. I will definitely create a video of what exactly happened on the D day and what happened on the three different sections that were there. But try to maintain such mindset in all the mocks that you give. Definitely give at least 1 mock every week, and if you have more time, give 2 mocks every week. I have already created a video on analyzing mock tests, which you should totally do when you are giving mock tests. And again, as I told you, another resource for mock tests, there was the Unacademy link, which would be there in description below, so you can try that as well. And good luck, guys. Just try to attempt mocks as properly as possible. Do not take breaks, do not get up. Try to give them in one single go, and that is how these are going to help you. So good luck and see you again soon.